Astonishing Legends Network.
Disclaimer. This episode includes the usual amount of adult language and graphic discussions you've come to expect around here. But in the event it becomes an unusual amount, expect another call from me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Scared All the Time. I'm Chris Kalari.
And I'm Ed Ficola.
And today, in honor of April Fool's Day, we're pulling a little prank and sneaking onto your feeds a day early.
Wow, huh?
It's admittedly maybe not the funniest prank in the world.
Got your ass.
Got your ass. Haha. You're getting something cool earlier than you expected. Fuck you. It's maybe not the funniest prank in the world, but it was better than the alternative idea we had, which was pretending that we both had Ebola and then keeping that joke going for a month. So
they would know immediately when I lost no weight.
Exactly.
But I think something's up. Or died when I didn't die.
That's yes.
They would also
Ebola generally has a pretty high
we're not
fatality.
Natural pranksters is what we're getting across.
We're not natural pranksters, and we didn't want to pull a prank that would get anyone killed, which when it comes to pranks might happen a lot more often than you would think. Because prank is one of those words that means very different things to different people. For some people, it means putting a fake spider in your soup or stretching saran wrap over the toilet seat so that when you pee, it bounces off.
I've always wondered about that.
Everywhere.
It's like, I feel like I would notice that there's fucking saran wrap hanging over it.
Yeah, you would think. You'd have to be...
It'd have to be late at night.
Yeah. For some people, pranks are pretty harmless stuff. But for other people, the word prank means public humiliation. It means getting singled out, embarrassed, tricked, and then being told to relax because it's just a fucking joke, man.
Oh my God.
Which, as a phrase, I think
paralyzed.
As a phrase, has probably gotten more people punched in the face than any other combination of words in the English language. And that's the problem with pranks. They only work if everybody involved finds them funny. If the target is not amused, the whole situation can go very, very bad very, very quickly. So join us today on this blessed day of fools as we dive into the twisted, weird, occasionally hilarious, and very often bloody history of pranks gone wrong. From ghost hoaxes in London that ended with a man getting blasted in the chest, to media stunts that spiraled into riots, to modern YouTube idiots who push strangers until somebody pulls a gun. This is Scared All the Time. And today, the joke is on everybody.
What are we?
Scared.
When are we?
All the time.
Join us.
Now it is time for
Scared All the Time.
Happy April Fool's Day, Ed.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Sam. My nephew's birthday. He's April Fool's Day, so I'm sure when we got those texts, people might have thought he wasn't born yet or something.
What?
My nephew was born on April Fool's Day, so I'm assuming my brother and his wife had to send out. And by the way, he came 7 weeks early.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's he came an insane amount of time early.
He came 7 weeks early on April Fool's Day.
Correct.
Yes, when I got that text, I would assume it was also an April Fool's prank.
Correct. Sam's here.
Yes. Gotcha.
Need a ride? Fuck off. You know what I mean?
Well, today is April Fool's, or depending on when you're listening to this, maybe it's September or Merry Christmas. Maybe it depends. But instead of pranking you with a joke episode like we thought about doing, we're going to celebrate the day by looking at what happens when the world's dumbest holiday goes catastrophically wrong.
Is it a holiday?
I mean, it's on the calendar.
The thing is, there's a version where you're like, oh, a holiday is just like a bank holiday or blah, 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 or a federal holiday, but Valentine's Day isn't and stuff. So do you think has to have a greeting card to be a holiday?
I'm sure there's April Fool's greeting cards. I bet they smell like farts when you
yeah,
open
it's
them.
Spencer's Gifts or something. Okay, I was just trying to see how we classify.
I think it's a holiday.
Okay.
Before we start stacking bodies, I just want to take a quick second to say, if you like the show, please go to patreon.com/scaredallthetime to check out everything we have on offer over there. We've got a monthly live stream that we do. We've got Button of the Month Club. We've got early release. We've got ad-free, all kinds of stuff. If you guys sign up over at the Patreon, it really helps keep the lights on at the show. And I do not say that lightly. It really genuinely helps keep the lights on. So sign up over there if you haven't yet. And if you can't do that, that's all good. But if you could, leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple. Head over, check us out on YouTube. Help us grow our channels. This show exists because of you, the listener. And we try to involve you as much as we can. So we thank you. And with that, Ed, I want to open this show with a discussion of pranks and how we feel about them.
Okay.
Because Ed, you're famously a well-known funny guy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that era I had where everyone thought I was that guy from that fucking show.
I don't know what era that
was
or what guy you're talking about.
I've never seen this show in my life. Impractical Jokers. But there was like a 14-month period that I don't know who this guy Sale from that show that I would be at bars from here to San Francisco and I would just be alone or whatever. And people like once every 2 months, people would come up and be like, "Hey, I thought you were Sal."
Oh yeah, I know Sal Volcano. I know his voice from podcasts. I've also never seen the show, so I don't know what he looks like.
Apparently looks like B-ish.
When I would work at Comic-Con in the summers back when I was like 22 and did not have a beard. Or a very, very...
People thought you were Zack Snyder?
Yeah, they were like, dude, you look like you just came from the gym. No, they thought I was like the guy with the big nose from Big Bang Theory once at a Comic-Con, and I didn't know who that guy was, and then when I found out, I was like, I guess that's compliment. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a handsome man now, but on the show, he looks like a loser.
Yeah, you were probably wearing one of those turtlenecks you always wore back then.
I didn't wear turtlenecks. I wore collared shirts.
Yeah, but his character was known for the turtlenecks, I think.
But I wanted to ask you, you are a funny guy. You've lived with mostly men. I'm sure the opportunity to prank or be pranked has arisen multiple times.
I was pranked one time.
Do you find them funny?
I hate them with all my heart, and it's pretty well-known, documented thing. So,
what's the time you were pranked that you hate?
And would this be? I think this is a prank where Steve it was murder. I was
that
framed
time
for
that
murder.
Guy punched you in the face, but
that wasn't a prank. That was road
prank.
rage. No, Comic Steve put a life-size sand person.
Sand person. You'll have to define.
From Star Wars.
A Jawa.
No, they're sand people. They walk in straight lines to cover their numbers.
Those aren't the Jawas? I thought the Jawas were the sand people. The little guys with the glowing eyes?
I always thought the sand people were the ones that made the like horn noise. I can't think of their name right now. The Turok.
So he put a sand person in your room.
So he puts this Tusken Raider cutout in the bathroom when we were like we were up working on a short film, editing a short film all through the night after work, till 3 a.m, blah blah blah. And I was super tired, and like I went to go to the bathroom, and he had like propped up right when you open the bathroom door like a sand person Tusken Raider thing, and it scared the shit out of me. It was like 3 a.m. It was dark. They hadn't turned the light on there yet.
Yeah,
and it's just fucking. It's not scary when I say it, but at that moment,
no, for sure,
it was the fucking scariest thing. And I fell backwards out of the bathroom, like almost like I could have really done real harm to myself because I jumped back.
You'll remember just a few episodes ago, I talked about how a turkey almost gave me a heart attack. So I get it.
Yeah. So anyway, the only thing I hate more than being pranked is if the prank has a scare component.
Oof.
And so like the fact that it was a prank, which I never consent to. And
you hear that, you motherfuckers? Never. Don't even try it.
Don't even try it. And then I'm scared, which is the thing I hate
all the time,
even more than being pranked. I was, to this day, I bet that was almost a relationship ending moment.
So you're not a big Halloween Horror Nights guy?
I've never been to one in my life, as you know. I'll do it if the fans demand it, but I don't want to.
If the fans pay for it, we will go to Halloween Horror Nights this year and make video content of Ed peeing his pants. It'll be great.
Fucking, I don't think
get a GoFundMe going, guys. Go Scare Me. We'll call it a Go Scare Me.
GoFundMe is usually what you get for people who are in a hospital. So yeah, I'll probably need that.
Well, we're gonna do a GoFundMe to put you in the hospital, and then we'll do a GoFundMe to get you out.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't like pranks.
I don't either.
I don't like being pranked, and I don't like being 14 months confused for a famous prankster.
Yes, no, fair enough. I don't like pranks either. I think they can be very mean, and I think being the butt of the joke makes me uncomfortable. I've always wanted to be somebody who can like roll with the punches, but it's funny. Over the years, I've always thought that I kind of was. But I've had a couple of friends over the years also be like, chill the fuck out, man. Like our friend Tina will bust my balls about a lot of stuff.
But does she prank?
No, she doesn't prank. But even just busting my balls, like I think I go with the flow, but I just think I do.
In your head, you're like, I'm handling this well.
I'm not scowling.
On the outside, you're just squeezing a carrot till it explodes in your hand.
Yeah.
I don't like being embarrassed in public, period. So it's like, I get it. I get that feeling of you're like, I'm chill and I'm cool until everyone's staring at you.
Yeah. And I like Jackass, which is a little bit more of like a friendly vibe,
It's super fucked up and insane. I don't know how any of those guys are still alive, but that definitely seems like pranks with consent.
Yeah. It's sort of a celebration of friendship through pranks. But the thing that really ruined pranking for me is the summer after I graduated high school, I went to a little beach house with some of my friends. And I don't even really want to get into the details of the prank because I do feel really bad about it. I'm still friends with this guy. But I pulled a prank that like didn't just wasn't just a prank. I like really hurt his feelings.
Oh, but it's better than it really hurt him.
No, I didn't physically hurt him.
I don't
but
know if you're like, I can't tell the story because there's a statute of limitations.
No.
Yeah.
I did something really shitty that I thought was a funny prank, and I really hurt this guy's feelings. And after that, I was like, I don't know about pranks. They seem
Well, you don't have to tell the story here because I don't want to be associated with a guy who has this much hesitation.
I do have one good prank story though.
Okay.
That wasn't really me pulling the prank, and it's a much more everyone laughs about it now kind of thing. Years ago, another one of my friends had just started dating the woman that he would later marry, and we were also on we'd gone up to Tahoe or something, and it was the first time or one of the very early times that she'd kind of hung out with all of us, like the rest of the group.
Okay.
And we were sitting around one night drinking and just like having a good time, and someone made a joke about how a mutual friend of ours who wasn't there, but someone that she knew and that we were all friends with, this guy, someone just made
We're allowed to use his real name and shit for this?
We can bleep it if you
I've
want.
never heard that name in my life, by the way.
Well, this guy, we were all sitting around one night drinking and having a good time when somebody in the group, I don't remember who it was, but made a joke about a mutual friend that both my friend's soon-to-be wife and the rest of us all knew. And somebody said, oh yeah, that guy. Does he still sleep with that blonde wig on? And it was just a weird, half-drunken comment. He's never slept with a blonde wig on.
I'm about to say, I don't know. Like, yeah.
It was just something that somebody said in the moment that they thought was really funny. And in the context of like the idea that he slept with it almost like a safety blanket, that like to feel like comfortable at night, he had to put this wig on.
I mean, I don't have a lot of wig experience, so I feel like it make you more uncomfortable. Like your head will get hot, dude.
But for whatever reason, it was one of those like group dynamic things. The mood was just right, and like none of us no one said, oh, that's like a joke. We all just sort of ran with it.
Sure.
And like it was real. We hadn't discussed pranking this woman. We just thought it was funny for a few minutes to pretend that slept with this wig on. And, everyone was like, oh, my God, that's right. Has he ever replaced that thing? Like, does it ever get dirty? Like,
oh, my God.
Having this fake conversation.
And he was there.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't
there.
No,
he wasn't there.
Okay.
So that made it easy to joke about it because there was no one being like, hey, I don't sleep with a wig on.
Yeah.
But my friend's girlfriend was looking at everybody like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever heard, which kind of, egged us on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Would be like, you judgmental bitch. Let people live their life.
The bit was reaching the point where we were kind of getting ready to drop it when another woman who had been upstairs sleeping comes down the stairs and without missing a beat, she goes, oh, are you talking about, our friend's wig? And that like sold it because she heard us talking about it.
Oh, okay.
So she just chimed in and that was like, we were like, yeah, we are. And then it took us like, I think after they got married, we finally came clean and we were like, just so you know, that guy doesn't sleep with a wig on. Like,
but you said that to his future wife?
Our other friend's future wife.
Okay, but so this person, just to get this straight, the timeline of this prank.
Do you want me to start over?
The person not there.
Correct.
No one is dating is there.
Correct.
He's just a person in the orbit of your friend group.
Yes.
You make a bunch of, this guy wears a wig comments, and then there's a newer person to your friend group, someone's girlfriend, who believed it.
Yes.
Well, then there's no harm, no foul here. There's no prank.
Well, except that she believed it for years. She
Who
was
gives
like,
a shit? What the prank is if she was like, I was going to fucking marry until I found out, because it's like, I don't want to marry a psychopath. That's a prank where you were like, hey, it went too far. Now that guy was lonely, lost his relationship, killed himself. Like, that's where I thought this was going. No. And he blames you guys for like, the love of my life left because you said that I fuck wigs or whatever.
It was a
So basically you one time made up a thing about a friend and that was it.
Well, but then she asked about it a number of times over the years. And
has she had met at that point?
Yeah, she knew him before all this happened.
Well, she should have just gone to him or not ever bring it up again. Either way, I can see how you got here. I think it's very much not a prank.
Okay, we'll cut this section.
You don't have to cut it. Or, hey, go to the comment section of this YouTube page, go down and let us know, was that a prank or was it not? Was it a prank? Or was it not a prank? Please let us know in the comments section.
That's
Engage
good.
the fuck out
That's
of her.
good. Leave comments on Spotify too, or wherever you listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Just leave a ton of comments.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
If you wear a wig to bed, let us know in the comments.
It was one of those things that was sort of annoying, but definitely not cruel. Which is
It was
kind of
especially not cruel because the person who was the butt of the joke never found out about it.
No, but the woman who we told this lie to
Is
was
a nobody in the
but
story
she
to
was
me.
upset that we had all lied to her for years.
She's upset. She had nothing else going on in her life where she was still thinking about that thing that might have happened about once.
Okay, let's move on from the prank or no prank. They'll let us know in the comments if it's a prank. But here's a funny prank about April Fool's Day itself. Nobody actually has any idea why it exists.
Oh.
I initially went down this rabbit hole somewhat foolishly,
Oh, my God.
expecting a clean origin story, and found more disputes about the origin of April Fool's Day than I ever would have expected.
I have a guess about how it was cemented.
Do you want to give me that guess right now, or would you like to wait until later?
Google. I feel like Google doing the every year on April Fool's Day, I don't think they really do it anymore maybe, but in like original OG Google, there was always like a big Google prank that day. Not a prank like you heard. I'm saying there would always be like a different fact or this is a whatever day.
I think that might have made it very popular with our generation. And I know for a while there, like in the mid 2010s, digital pranks on April Fool's Day on like Twitter or Facebook were like really big, and then people got tired of them really quick.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm talking about like.
But April
20
Fool's
years
Day
ago.
April Fool's Day was big, at least in America, before Google started doing it.
There's a reason why they did it. Because
Yes.
there was a cultural understanding that this was what that day was. But I'm saying, I feel like in the spring, there would always be something with Gmail or Google or whatever
Yeah.
where you'd literally have to go, wait, is today April 1st?
Yeah, I remember. One
Yeah.
of the big ones that got them in trouble was they had a mic drop button. Do you remember that?
Is that where they've dropped a wig on your friend?
No,
as he slept?
it was there was a button in Gmail where you could hit in a conversation like an auto reply that was mic drop, and it was sort of like a tell off, and then it would shut off that like you couldn't reply to the chain or something.
Oh my God.
And but people didn't do not everyone using Gmail knew what was going on and didn't realize that the button was there, didn't know what it did. So a bunch of people were like sending mic drop emails to their bosses and like their spouses. And
Wow, we're done here.
People were like, what the fuck? And I think they had to issue a big, like, we're sorry, we thought that would be funnier than it was.
That's really
anyway,
good.
the most popular theory about why April Fool's Day exists is the calendar change theory, which I found put forth on history.com.
Is April when the leap year day is?
No.
Oh, okay.
They tell us that when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, as called for by the Council of Trent in 1563, the Julian calendar, as in the Hindu calendar, began with the spring equinox around April 1st. So the new year was April 1st in the Julian calendar.
Which makes sense because like the crops are going to start growing. It makes sense on a planetary scale.
In the Gregorian calendar, the year began on January 1st, as it does today. So people who were slow to get the news or didn't, realize what was going on, that the new year was now starting in January instead of April, they continued to celebrate the new year during the last week of March through April 1st.
Like fools would.
Like fools would.
Oh,
and so
boy.
they were called April Fools. And a number of pranks were invented to make fun of the dumb idiots who didn't realize that we were now using an entirely different calendar.
This is crazy to me because this in itself sounds like an April Fool's joke. Like this sounds like the most believable and at the very same time made up fact I've ever heard.
It's true. It's true. A lot of people, the news didn't really spread. Especially if you were just a peasant, you just had your crops. You weren't paying attention.
I genuinely don't think people I think that's the reason why the Canterbury Tales is still here. I think most people who weren't on a pilgrimage did not leave the couple of acres of where they fucking grew up.
Yeah.
Like it's just the woods are thieves and bears and you don't know how to fucking get home.
Yeah.
Like there's no maps or GPS. So
Yeah.
I can imagine news traveled slow.
It traveled really slowly, but there were pranks invented to make fun of these people who didn't know, including if you were an April Fool, you would have a paper fish placed on your back and you would be referred to as a poisson d'avril, or an April fish, said to symbolize a young, easily caught fish or a gullible person.
Who's showing up in town with fish to slap on people's
Paper
backs?
fish.
Yeah, but nobody in the town would know. If this guy didn't know the new year, that no one in town would know. So there's a new man in town being like, "You fools!"
Or there were
Slap a fish on these men.
there were people who were just confused, and the locals would make fun of them behind their backs, and then at some point we're like, let's slap one of those foolish fish on this guy.
Yeah. One thing I would like to do for real is instead of April Fool's pranks, we should get some kind of like April Fool's forgiveness, which is to say, if you made a New Year's resolution that really hasn't started by the end of March, you get like a second chance to be like, get it together.
I like this.
Like you've had it all the way until the old, like you can blame that hey, I'm still writing the old calendar on my checks.
Yeah.
Like now you kind of need to get with the program because now it's like, okay, your excuse of I thought the new year started now. Well, it does. So start doing your fucking resolutions.
Did you just come up with that right now?
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Hell yeah, it is.
We should do something with that. That's a really.
I think by the time this episode comes out, there's no way I would have started anything yet.
I think. Well, no. We're not gonna create another calendar. That's
we should get ripped, though.
We should get ripped.
We should get Square in the new
working on
Square in the new year, which starts April 1st for us now.
Today. We're going to do push-ups right after this episode.
Fuck, man. I'm already having Bud Lights. I'm going to puke on you after this episode.
The problem for those who put forth the theory about the origin of April Fool's Day that is centered around this calendar change is that references to April Fool's style trickery predate the calendar change.
Oh, these are guys who had the fish cut before anyone even knew.
Way before. We know that countries that adopted the Gregorian calendar centuries after France did, like Britain, who didn't adopt the Gregorian calendar until 1752, and Russia, who didn't adopt the Gregorian calendar until 1918. So I don't know what calendar they were using in Russia until 1918, but the year didn't start on January 1st.
Well, to their point, Russian Orthodox has like Christmas, after
they
he's
maybe
baptized.
Had a religious calendar.
So maybe they were rocking some shit that had to do with that. You know what I
Probably.
mean?
But the point is, both of those, England and Russia, have April Fool's traditions that stretch back way before they made that Gregorian calendar change, which means those traditions must have come from somewhere else.
Whoa, I didn't know. Okay.
You following?
Yeah, I am now, but it's weird to me that I guess pranks are just baked into society.
Well,
like,
this was
like humanity is prank based.
This is the journey that I was on of trying to find out just how the hell did this holiday start. One of the oldest holidays, to your point, that humanity is a very prank-based species. One of these old holidays is the Roman celebration of Hilaria on March 25th, which is a spring equinox festival honoring the cult of Cybele and Attis that featured masquerades, mockery, and disguises.
Okay.
The word Hilaria literally means joyful, and
That's hilarious.
it is literally the root word of hilarious.
Okay.
If you're attempting to win bar trivia someday, there you go. The day before Hilaria.
The saddest day of the year.
Literally, yes.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
It was the 24th of March was the somber Day of Blood, during which priests of the goddess Cybele carried out a ritual of self-flagellation, which is whipping themselves on their backs until they bled, and some are even said to have castrated themselves.
Okay, guys, wait 24 hours. It's going to be a vibe.
Hey, listen. A, I see why you'd want a day of hilarity to follow that. And second of all, B, you now have a whole town of people with a bunch of recently removed testicles hanging out to do something with. So what do you get? You're going to prank people with them.
My worry is that was the prank. Is that the people who believed that that's what you're supposed to do the day before Hilaria, the joke's on them.
No, I don't. Well,
like, we pranked your ass, man. No one else ripped their balls off and slapped themselves.
That would be funny if they were just like, the Day of Blood, we made it up.
Yeah, we made it up, man. That didn't help anything grow.
While we're on the topic of ancient Rome, though, this is a bit of a detour, but one that is so good that I had to put it in the episode. There was at least one Roman emperor, really just one Roman emperor, who was so obsessed with pranks outside the Day of Hilarity, just obsessed with pranks year-round, that he's gone down in history as the king of the pranks.
So it's not Nero. He was way worse.
No.
Or Caligula. Prank Liglia.
This guy is up there. His name was Elagabalus.
Fun name.
elevated to the throne at 14 years old,
Too young.
and such a little shithead that even his imperial biographer wrote, "The life of Elagabalus I should never have put into writing," hoping that nobody should know that he was the emperor of Rome.
Oh, that's fun.
That wasn't really just because of his love of pranks, but that's where we have to start. According to historyfacts.com, quote, "Sometimes Elagabalus served food of only a single color, such as green or blue."
He has a Michelin star for that now.
I know, right? His least desired guests were even known to find that the food in front of them was not food at all, but wax replicas of what everyone else was eating.
It's very fun.
Other unfortunate guests would find themselves sitting on inflated animal bladders, or what
Whoopee cushions.
Historia Augusta describes as air-filled pillows that let out air while they were dining.
This is amazing.
Elagabalus invented the whoopee cushion.
Elagabalus is the fucking Willy Wonka of pranks.
He's the king of the pranks.
King of the pranks.
The fun didn't stop there. According to a Roman tours website, I found that this kid, quote, raced a chariot drawn by 4 elephants up the Vatican Hill, destroying a number of tombs in the process, and hosted a private race in the Circus Maximus, in which the chariots were not drawn by horses, but in a hilarious twist, by camels, which apparently people would have found, like, very funny at the time.
Get out of here. Are those camels?
He also, I think, must have basically almost started a religious war, because he made citizens of all faiths in Rome worship a black conical rock that he installed in a temple on a hill and called it God. Every summer solstice, the rock was paraded around in a golden chariot, and people had to line the streets to worship it.
I kind of fucking love it, but I don't like the had to aspect.
Yeah, as the historian Herodian, who lived at the time, described it, quote, "A 6-horse chariot carried the divinity, the horses huge and flawlessly white, with expensive gold fittings and rich ornaments. No one held the reins, and no one rode in the chariot. The vehicle was escorted as if the god himself were the charioteer. Elagabalus ran backwards in front of the chariot, facing the god and holding the horse's reins. He made the whole journey in this reverse fashion, looking up into the face of his god," which again was a rock. Which is really sort of the most 14-year-old religion, like a guy who's like, I'm going to run backwards in front of the horses. And
well, only a 14-year-old has that energy.
That's true.
But it's weird because it's juvenile, but it's not universally juvenile.
Right.
Where like 14-year-olds, we've read other history books, could easily skin you and you know what I mean, feed you to
their
the gods.
Yeah.
This is like a particular Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse level mind that I'm sure the remaining sections of his biography were the like skin people sections. But this is a particularly funny way to live in a way that is not like, oh, Caligula or whatever, like waged a war with the sea. And that's where sand dollars come from.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was either Caligula or one of those like real shit ones.
Okay.
They like, one of them appointed their horse as like the vice president.
Yeah. I knew that. I didn't know about the sand dollars.
Sand dollars come from like this weird war against the ocean. And they were like, what do we bring to say we won to this guy?
Oh.
So we brought like these things. But this guy does kind of sound like he rules, but he certainly can't rule.
He's also in the running for horniest teenage king who ever lived.
Okay, but also mentioned this must be, I don't know what years this guy was, but it has to be like post-Punic Wars because they have elephants, and post like Caesar and the Egyptian shit because they have camels.
I'll also throw it out there that I didn't include any quotes of this, but in my research, I did find that there's a lot of his life has become sort of myth and legend. So who knows how exact the elephants are, but this guy was definitely up to no good.
It would be amazing if if we find out that like Brewster's Millions is like based on something from his biography.
Well, Elagabalus's millions was the number of women and men that he slept with.
He's the Wilt Chamberlain of ancient Rome.
So horny that he was said to have never slept with the same woman twice. His limitless libido extended to his charioteers, whose speed and physical prowess he particularly admired.
Okay.
Elagabalus' biographer tells us that the emperor procured men for political office based solely on the size of their penises. And he made use of more than just their counsel, availing himself of more anal sex than you'd believe a teenager could fit into just 3 years on the throne.
Honestly, again, this is an energy thing, I think. And I'm not trying to go with teenager. I wish you hadn't said teenager.
That's a quote, by the way. That little section there was a quote.
Yeah,
from,
absolutely. I'm just meant like, who's got that kind of fucking energy and virality other than young people?
He also threw orgies, during which rose petals were dumped on the guests in such quantities that some partiers were said to have suffocated to death beneath the flowers.
That's a lot of flowers, but I don't even know if that will undo the stink in that room.
Never. Yeah, especially you dump all the rose petals hoping it covers up the smell, but then you've got all those people rotting.
Now you have
it.
people like months later being like, what is that?
Yeah.
And it was like, we're still finding people under the like,
Yeah.
But it's like a very distinct sound of dragging a body across marble floors that also has the like hard dead leaf sound.
Yeah, of ancient rose petals.
Yeah, that would be in a who's that guy that makes like the lobster and shit? That would be like a scene in a movie of his.
Oh yeah. Not Panos Cosmatos, the other Greek. He made Begonia. This little shithead was so full of himself.
Sounds like other people were full of him too.
All of Rome was full of him. He was full of others, and he was full of himself. He was so full of himself that after he learned that he had basically pissed off so many people in Rome that assassins were coming to kill him, he made ornate plans to kill himself in a variety of different manners. So this is a quote.
I feel like syphilis is going to win this one, right? Like that's going to end up being the...
He entwined a scarlet and purple silk noose to hang himself with.
That sounds really nice.
If he has if he had the time, if he knew the assassins were coming, he could dramatically hang himself. He kept golden swords lying around the palace in case the situation called for a quick death, so that he could stab himself with a golden sword.
This is something where I feel like he needs to speak to the Asians at this point. I feel like at this same time period, the Asians would have been like, we have 1,400 pages on flowers you can eat to die instantly without any issue.
Well,
you don't have to run to your fucking golden stab cabinet.
He also prepared poisons mixed with precious stones in case he fancied a drink before he died. And he even constructed a tower of gilded and jeweled boards in case he fancied throwing himself to his death.
Okay. All right, so he knew about easier ways to die. He's just being dramatic.
He is a
14-year-old theater... We didn't realize he's a theater kid.
He is a 14-year-old theater kid.
He's the first theater kid.
In the end, though, it was all for nothing because, like I want to do to theater kids, he was slaughtered by his own soldiers as he hid in the toilets.
No, these poor kids, they get hard enough. Be whoever you want to be.
His corpse was dragged to the
Unless
streets.
you're this guy specifically, don't be this
guy.
But I mean, go out for whatever play you
I'm kidding
want.
about theater kids. But just tone the energy down a little bit.
Yeah, don't be on all the time.
You don't have to be on all the time.
But you also don't need to have scarlet nooses on the ready.
It's funny. I didn't realize that I disliked theater kids because I did stage crew and stuff in high school for the plays.
Yeah, when you're dressed in all black, we're a different group.
But I didn't realize I hated theater kids until I got to Emerson and there were a bunch of theater kids on my floor.
Oh yeah,
and
you lived in like student housing.
The first couple of months, I could not figure out why I didn't like these people. I was like, something is weird, and like the energy, like I didn't know what it was. And then after a few months, I was like, I think they're just always annoying and like singing and they can't ever have a conversation because they all got to do bits all the time.
It's improv and theater kids.
Yeah.
I think they might be natural enemies in the wild, but they're the same person.
I mean, the worst prank Elagabalus could have ever pulled would have been starting an improv troupe. I feel like...
I am certain he had a few.
He probably did. But anyway...
But it always ended with, like, the ones he liked least were fucking skinned.
He did not get a chance to use any of these dramatic ways to kill himself because he was slaughtered by his own soldiers as he hid in the toilets. His corpse was dragged to the streets of Rome and thrown into the river Tiber, where it ultimately washed up in Rome's sewer, the Cloaca Maxima. So in the end, these pranks... In the end,
people hated you, bro.
In the end, these pranks all went wrong for him. Not for anybody
Yeah,
else.
He pushed a couple too many buttons.
Pushed way too many buttons. He is actually, I didn't want to make the whole episode about this guy, but if you're interested in this kind of history, look up Elagabalus. There's a ton of fascinating stories about how I read something about how like his grandmother and mother like orchestrated his rise
Oh,
to
yeah.
the throne at 14 and all this different stuff. He was a really weird, fascinating guy.
Anything post Caesar, I mean, even Augustus was his adopted kid, right? So it's like there's a lot of orchestration after that because there's no like genuine like through line of like lineage, I would imagine.
Right.
Man, the worst thing that could have ever happened is that like guys are always thinking about ancient Rome is like a meme.
Yeah.
Because I was certainly never thinking about ancient Rome in my daily life, but the two best classes I ever took in school were like a medieval history class and an ancient Rome, like a whole semester on ancient Rome. And they were like, nothing held my attention like both of those classes. And yes, I kind of agree with Shane Gillis a little bit on like anything older than, I don't know, the American histories is like could all be fucking made up. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting stuff and shit like stories like this. I mean, you can do 1,000 podcasts on. I'm sure right now there's a podcast on like we're going through every Roman emperor.
Yeah.
But
Elagabalus II.
I didn't know if Elagabalus. I have to do some research because I think I'm minutes away from getting Elagabalus tattoo until I find out he did a few more horrible things.
So to recap briefly, we had the ancient Roman holiday of the Day of Blood on the 24th, followed by Hilaria on the 25th.
How hilarious was yesterday?
Which was hilarious. Then Elagabalus took that all a little too seriously. And then there's the Feast of Fools that occurred from the 12th through the 16th centuries. This was primarily a French thing. Just like the Poisson Elfiches or whatever from...
Yeah, they don't seem like hilarious people today.
Well, they've got mimes.
I stand by what I said.
This was primarily a French thing where lower clergy, like deacons, elected a Pope of Fools and then conducted mock masses, wore vestments inside out, brought donkeys into churches, and sang obscene parodies of hymns.
This seems sacrilegious.
The Catholic website newadvent.org memorably describes this holiday, the Feast of Fools, as, quote, a celebration marked by much license and buffoonery, which took place every year on or about the Feast of the Circumcision. What
are we doing?
It was known by many names: Festum Fautorum, Festum Stultorum, Festum Hypodiaconorum, and it is difficult, if not quite impossible, to distinguish it from certain other celebrations, such, for example, as the Feast of Asses and the Feast of the Boy Bishop.
Okay, all right. The first bunch of names...
Those are magic words.
Those are Harry Potter spells.
Yeah.
The last two... You know what? Call them by the last two. If we got a couple centuries where having a day of asses meant we're not going to hurt these kids, then fucking let them blow off steam. Bring a donkey in here for a donkey show. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. But it does to me feel like it seems to be co-signed by the religion at the time, but even to me, I'm like, that seems really sacrilegious.
So it wasn't. The church condemned it repeatedly.
Okay.
But like everything else the church condemns and says you can't do, it just made
They just moved those lower bishops to another church?
Yeah. All of a sudden, Spain was like, we've got all these bishops throwing a weird festival.
Yeah.
No, it was, they said you couldn't do it, and then people just wanted to do it more. I kind of wish they still did. It really does sound like a pretty awesome holiday.
I don't think they should do it.
But why not?
I don't know. There should be some.
Can you imagine if there was a Weird Al of Catholic hymn parodies that he got to show off once a year?
Only once a year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, if it is the release valve the community needs because if there's any community that needs a release valve, it's that group.
Catholics?
And Catholics
or French
specifically.
people?
Catholic, but man, maybe both. At least, I don't want to say any more, but it is, if it's doing a service, great. Otherwise, I don't know. I walk into churches and I lower my voice.
Here's a question.
You know what I mean? I try and, that's like a hollowed ground.
Here's a question for you. I feel like Irish Catholics and Italian Catholics have very strong stereotypes.
Sure.
What do you think of when you hear French Catholic?
Well, I guess
Joan of Arc is really the only...
Well, yeah, but I also think of the French Indian War because that during the American Revolution, before the American Revolution, and then into the American Revolution, the only people who were Catholics were French coming down from Canada.
Right.
And so I associate French pretty, I guess, strongly with Catholicism versus
But I'd say that's
Protestants and stuff that maybe would have been like English people who came over.
that stereotype didn't really stick around the way that Irish and Italian Catholics.
No, I
stuck
think
around.
because, and I never do this, so I'm gonna give French a little, some grace here.
Okay.
Give them some props. I think they're
Okay.
kind of too cool for it a little bit. Like they're smoking cigs. They're known for French kisses and
Yeah.
like good ass food and
Right.
like not lame things to have their religious tendencies rise to the top of things you think of French people for.
I see.
They're known for revolutions
Yeah.
and just being cool and
right.
being rude.
They don't seem like a very guilty people, whereas like Irish
They seem pretty
Catholics
open
and,
about-
and Italian Catholics feel very like
Pepe Le Pew is a fucking rapist,
Yes.
and his name is Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
And that is not to associate all French people with the R word there. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, they kind of don't seem like they're worried about anything.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying is,
Sure.
yeah, like they're just like openly be like, yeah, I smoked 1,000 cigarettes and fucked 50 people today.
Yeah.
See you at church. Versus like, we would never. And
Yeah.
then in the confession, be like, I fucked 1 million people and drank cigarettes. It's like, that's okay, 1,000 Hail Marys.
Right. Well, whichever of these multitude of origins of April Fool's Day is to be believed, or whichever one is the most accurate, by the 18th century, the idea of a day on which pranks were celebrated and fun was to be had at the expense of others had spread across Europe.
Okay.
There were different flavors of Fool's Days depending on where you lived. So Scotland's, for instance, was also actually something that lasted 2 days. 2 long, dreadful days, because day one was called Hunt the Gawk Day.
Oh, I don't want to be a gawk. What's a gawk?
G-O-W-K, Gawk, Hunt the Gawk Day. According to Scott's magazine, the term gawk refers to a cuckoo bird and can be used to describe a fool.
Okay.
Hunt the Gawk was also often shortened to Hunt-a-Gawk, all one word.
Oh, okay.
On this day, some poor idiot, typically someone's young apprentice, was sent on a pretend errand that would turn into a wild goose chase. So often this would involve delivering, you would hand your young apprentice a very important letter, right? And there was no letter in the envelope. They'd be like, take this letter to the blacksmith, and you'd run it to the blacksmith, and they would open it to read the phrase, dinna laugh and dinna smile, but hunt the gawk another mile. That blacksmith is now in on the joke.
Oh,
and
he writes another letter.
He doesn't even write it. He just folds it back up and goes, oh, actually, this is for the baker, not me. Go to the baker. And they would keep this guy running
You know
around
what, though?
all day.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
It's wildly inconvenient, but it started from your boss.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he's going to lose his job being on a wild goose chase all day. Hey, why weren't you here at the bakery?
Right.
Yeah, this is a hazing ritual, and it's also not like the letter opens and it was like, my assistant says you're a fucking bitch. And
You're not gonna
what are you going to do
believe-
about it?
Yeah.
So it's not like it turns scary.
That's true. That's true.
I kind of like this one.
Yeah, it's not of many of the pranks we're going to discuss on this episode, Hunt a Gawk is not one of the worst.
And it seems like something where you could, an apprentice later be like, oh, what was your gawk day like? Or it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I had to go to the... Like, it's almost a bonding experience for people in that industry.
That's a positive way to think of it, Ed. I like that. I like that perspective. Day 2 was called Taily Day and was more of a backside-centered prank day where people would pin tails on the butts of their friends and neighbors along with kick me signs. And this is apparently
The origin of kick me signs?
the origin of kick me signs, much like the origin of the whoopee cushion, stems from these prank traditions that stretch back forever. So yes, the kick me sign has been hilarious since the 1700s.
Yeah, I hope people are, kind of being fun and gentle about it. And I hope the pin the tail on is not like you got something nailed into your body.
Well,
back
that was
then.
what I was thinking, because I don't know if they had tape back then.
Well, they probably had like a pin, like a clothespin style.
I guess you'd have to be so sneaky to pin something to somebody.
Yeah, people were wearing maybe
You
big
can't
clothes.
do the back slap,
The back slap. You know what? You definitely can, because this is a fucked up system. They probably just look like goose shit or like
Right,
or
right,
like
right.
or tar,
Spit,
pine
yeah,
tar.
yeah, yeah.
And they tart it to your ass.
In Spain, the equivalent of a Fool's Day is Holy Innocents' Day or Dia de los Santos Inocentes.
So this sounds like it's also going to stem from and exploit like naive people or new to their job people. I'm hoping.
It's a little worse than that.
No, they frame people for murder?
The day is celebrated by pranking each other and making jokes, the most popular of which is sticking paper in the shape of a child on someone's back. And when the victim of the prank realizes they've
been marked a predator.
Yeah, the jokers will scream Inocente, which is Spanish for innocent. The weird thing about Dia de los Santos Inocentes is that it's named after dead babies. And not just any dead babies. These particular babies are the ones who were slaughtered by order of King Herod around the time of Jesus' birth.
Oh.
If you aren't familiar with the story, King Herod was the king at the time when Jesus was born, and he was so blinded by his jealousy because the prophecy called for Jesus to be the new king of the Jews. So King Herod ordered all of the infant boys under the age of 2 in Bethlehem and neighboring towns and cities to be killed in hopes that whichever one was Jesus would be caught and compromised to a permanent end in this slaughter of babies.
Joke's on him. He wasn't anywhere you'd expect him to be.
Nope. He got away. He snuck away. But this holiday, the day of the innocents.
So the innocents are the kids who had no reason to be killed.
Correct.
Got you.
It's a commemoration of those innocent souls mixed with winter festivities and something that a long time ago was called La Fiesta de los Locos.
So the crazy festival.
The party of the crazy people.
Yeah.
That has a pagan origin and was celebrated during the Middle Ages. And during La Fiesta de los Locos, everything was allowed. It was a day of debauchery and revelry.
The Purge.
Yeah, kind of. And so the church's way of ruining their fun was to remind people of the baby massacre and be like, now we're handling this holiday, and guess what? It involves thousands of dead children. So
dude,
calm down.
One of my favorite jokes about, I don't remember what it was in or how, whatever, but it was one of those things where it's like, finish all the food in your plate. There's starving kids and you pick the country, whatever. Every fucking 10 years the country changes, but yeah, there's starving kids and whatever. And I remember who said it or why or the setup or the show or anything, but the other person who was being told this just goes, yeah, name 5. That to me is like one of the funniest responses to that ever, but
and so you're saying
it's the same energy as
I
this.
can't name 5 of the slaughtered children.
The people who were saying do it because of the slaughtered children, they probably couldn't name 5.
Probably not.
But your set back then is to keep the name alive. We should do that for more things.
What, add dead babies to them?
Well, just keep the memory alive of things.
Well, speaking of moving on quickly, by the time the 1800s roll around, pranks have broken containment. They're not just for April Fool's Day anymore. Mass media is on the rise, powered by newspapers desperate to sell copies, and they discovered that pranks are a shortcut to profit. So the New York Sun in 1835 published what is now known as the Great Moon Hoax. Reporter Richard Adams Locke wrote articles.
Old Dick Locke, what's he up to?
Pranking people still. He wrote articles claiming astronomer John Herschel had discovered bat-winged humanoids and unicorns on the moon.
Oh, sick.
It became the New York Sun's best-selling series ever, and even after they admitted the articles were bullshit, they never officially retracted the story.
Wow.
The same paper pulled another stunt in 1844 when they claimed that the first transatlantic flight had been achieved, which is a slightly more believable prank than unicorns on the moon.
Yeah, but it was powered by those winged creatures they found on the moon.
The headline read, "Astounding news! By express via Norfolk. The Atlantic crossed in 3 days. Signal triumph of Mr. Monk Mason's flying machine."
Oh.
Below, the article gushed, "The great problem is at length solved. The air, as well as the earth and the ocean, has been subdued by science."
Got your ass.
Other exclamations peppered the columns. "God be praised! Who shall say that anything is impossible hereafter?" Interestingly enough, this article was written by none other than Edgar Allan Poe.
Wow.
Who had just arrived in New York City and was looking for a paying job. And I guess the newspaper said, "You want to lie to some people?"
Whatever keeps me drunk.
He later defended himself, saying that, quote, "There was nothing put forth in the balloon story which is not in full keeping with the known facts of aeronautic experience, and any part of it, he insisted, might have really occurred."
I will say this. It is interesting if you made an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
That someone did not realize was a joke. Mm-hmm. And it like ushered in some sort of space race level, like, fucking, what do you mean the Americans did transatlantic flight?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
based on that article, it's
Yeah.
like, we're gonna fucking do that.
Yeah,
and
then-
like new industries were formed from like a joke. Would be awesome.
I just think it's funny, the idea that Edgar Allan Poe was okay with printing news that could have happened. Can you imagine if that was the standard we held people to these days?
I think we
maybe it is.
do now, yeah.
He later wrote this about the article and its reception, which I think is shockingly relevant to modern media criticism. Poe said, quote, "The more intelligent believed the joke, while the rabble, for the most part, rejected the whole with disdain. He saw this as a historical change." He said, quote, "20 years ago, credulity was the characteristic trait of the mob, and incredulity the distinctive feature of the philosophic."
Remind me of what those two mean.
Credulity is just a gullibleness, that you believe it. You believe whatever you're told.
Okay.
And incredulity is questioning.
Oh,
what you're
interesting.
told,
That
not
is
believing
interesting.
it. And he's saying, when this article ran, he's saying that the intelligent were the ones who were gullible.
Who took it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. And the rabble were like, the fuck are you talking about?
I bet you there is something that's already been written about it, but I bet you there is like a very distinct pendulum swing on that every 2 generations or every 40 years. There is like and now the masses are more gullible, and you know what I mean?
I think we do kind of, we don't see it with everything today, but I do, like, how often do you see a media outlet run with a story that, you know, the intelligent, the literati, the intelligent people, the talking heads on the news have to just run with? Like, weapons of mass destruction is at this point a pretty well-known.
I think it was pretty well known a year into being there.
Well, right, but
Yeah.
but part of the reason that it became sort of the eye roll phrase that it became was because, you know, the government said it, and then some people ran with it because they wanted to. They wanted to prove the government right. But then a lot of other somewhat ostensibly intelligent people on the news just kind of had to be like, oh, yeah, weapons of mass destruction. Like, you didn't have a lot of people going, hang on, that sounds like bullshit. There were people saying that, but they weren't the mainstream thinkers.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know. You can't really, who knows what the incentives were for any
Yeah.
outlets at the time, or what the restrictions were. And who knows? We're still doing the same shit, man.
Yeah.
Literally at the time of recording.
Yeah, but what the newspaper hoaxes sort of made hoaxes a popular.
Well, newspaper hoaxes are fucking cool because it's your one piece of media.
Yeah.
Whether it's later would be radio. Like, War of the Worlds doesn't work if there's a second channel to turn to.
Well, there were. So we're going to get to War of the Worlds in a little bit.
Okay.
But these newspaper pranks were embarrassing, and they were financially motivated by greedy newspaper publishers who wanted to sell newspapers. But nobody died from thinking that there were bat people on the moon. That wasn't the case in the Hammersmith neighborhood of London in 1803, when someone started dressing in a white sheet and leaping out at people in dark lanes at night, pretending to be a ghost.
You can't do that. That's like that crazy clown people from the clown episode.
While this person's actions were likely intended to be funny, the neighborhood was genuinely terrorized. People were afraid to go outside after dark, and vigilante patrols formed to catch the ghost. And wouldn't you know it, before long, a once living man was turned into a real Hammersmith ghost, because according to an article on Discovery UK, around 10:30 p.m. on the evening of January 3rd, 1804, local bricklayer Thomas Millwood was walking near Black Lion
Was
Lane.
laid to rest.
Yeah, he will be soon. He was walking near Black Lion Lane, just north of the River Thames. He was wearing his work clothes, which were entirely white in color. At the same time, 29-year-old excise officer Francis Smith was armed and hunting for the ghost of Hammersmith, convinced he could put an end to the terror. I guess convinced that he could shoot a ghost.
It is interesting that, I have a feeling the man who's going to get shot was not the ghost, but it is interesting that the personality traits, the Venn diagram in the fucking disturbed wavelength of these two men's brains, the guy who's a ghostbuster
Yeah.
and the guy who is a ghost imposter,
Yeah.
probably have more in common
than the poor man.
Yeah.
Because, yes, Smith was convinced that he could bust this ghost, so to speak. And when he encountered this figure dressed entirely in white, he raised his weapon and fired, killing Thomas Millwood. Francis
R.I.P.
Smith.
God bless.
R.I.P. God bless to Thomas Millwood. Francis Smith, the shooter, was tried at the Old Bailey Courthouse where, quote, his defense argued
that this place is barely a courthouse. We should do this somewhere better.
The New Bailey Courthouse, perhaps. No, in an argument reminiscent of stand your ground laws, his defense argued that he acted out of genuine fear, believing that the ghost of Hammersmith posed a real threat. The prosecution countered that Smith's actions were reckless and based on superstition rather than evidence.
I agree.
The jury initially convicted Francis Smith of murder, but King George commuted the sentence, and apparently what was a rare commutation for King George III. He commuted the sentence to manslaughter, sparing Smith the death penalty and instead condemning him to a year of hard labor instead.
What year was this?
This was 1803, 1804.
Okay.
And interestingly, this case became a landmark in English common law regarding the defense of what is known as honest mistake of fact.
That's such a British way to say it.
Yeah. As Discovery UK puts it, quote, could belief in the supernatural justify lethal force?
I thought that guy was a ghost. Like, I've been using that all the time.
That was the defense. He thought the guy was a real ghost, and he was so afraid he had to pull the trigger and shoot him.
Dude, the idea that you are getting off on the what would you do defense? I mean, what would you do? The guy was coming at me like a specter.
But here's what's even crazier. It wasn't until 1983 that the question was answered by the Court of Appeal in R versus Williams, and the ruling determined that an assailant's actions had to be judged on the circumstances as he or she reasonably believed them to be, even if that belief was mistaken. So if Ed ever snaps and kills me, don't let him say he thought I was a ghost. He knows I'm not a ghost. It's not going to fly in Kalari Court.
But it seems like it did for a long time.
No, and I think it still does. It was settled that if your actions are judged, the actions have to be judged on the circumstances that you believe them to be. So I think
so in 1983 they were like, we've heard enough of this. If you think it's a ghost,
you can kill it. Yeah,
okay,
apparently.
shit.
Yeah, so
I thought you were saying that in 1983 they finally were like,
no,
we have so many graveyards filled with accidental murders, or like how many people's. You're saying the entire island's ex-wives are ghosts? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. I thought that they were saying in 1983 we're done with this, but you're saying in 1983 there was an official Supreme Court essentially decision that ghosts are fair game.
So if you live if you're one of our UK listeners,
have at it. Kill whoever you want.
If this still, First, definitely don't do that. But second, if you find out one way or the other if this still holds true, let us know.
Yeah,
because I'd just be curious. The next stop along Pranks That Totally Fucking Backfired Boulevard is an event I almost touched on in our Alien Invasion episode with Olivia, and I'm glad I didn't because it turns out it does fit even better in this episode.
Okay.
It, as you mentioned earlier, is one of the most famous pranks in history, famous for both its excellent execution and the manner in which it immediately and spectacularly backfired. Although, depending on who you ask, it maybe got exactly the reaction its creators were hoping for.
Isn't this, when you say immediately backfired, you mean like shut it down, we fucked up, like this is causing a big panic?
Sort of, yeah. On October 30th, 1938, 23-year-old, incredibly
Orson Welles
fiendishly
did well.
talented Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air broadcast an adaptation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds on CBS Radio, structured as fake breaking news bulletins describing a Martian invasion in Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
I bet you it worked better then too, because I feel like breaking news would have maybe, and I don't know, I'm not a scholar of the era, it might have been reserved for actual breaking news then. It wasn't like on the drive to record this, got like no exaggeration, 5 in the 30-minute drive, 5 like New York Times breaking news emails.
That plus the Citizen app. No,
well, I don't have Citizen app, as you know,
okay.
but I'm saying maybe at the time people took it even more seriously because it's like, oh shit, this is breaking news.
Well, I've if you've never listened to H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds before, I've put the original broadcast in the show notes, and if you get a chance, you should definitely listen to it. It's Scared All the Time stamp of approval. It's really good. It's still, I think, probably just as entertaining as it was in the day.
Yeah, probably.
Orson Welles is just like, I mean, he's just
that voice.
He's the best. He's a phenomenal storyteller, both as an actor and eventually.
But no, I think you had mentioned that H.G. War of the Worlds is even older than the broadcast.
Yes, it's based on H.G. Wells' book.
Yes, but I'm saying there must have been somebody listening going, hey, wait a minute, that's just War of the Worlds.
Probably.
Right? It's like if someone came on the radio like, breaking news, Pete Maverick Mitchell shot down Miggs. It's like, wait, that's just Top Gun.
Possibly. I mean, War of the Worlds was set in the UK, not America.
Okay.
And it's a very abridged, on-the-ground telling of War of the Worlds, so I feel like you would have had to be
You'd have to be H.G. Wells.
You'd have to be pretty familiar with the book to go, wait a second.
Okay, sure. Okay.
But part of what's so interesting about this, the chaos that the broadcast of War of the Worlds caused is manifold. But one thing that I think is interesting is that if you listen to it, you'll notice the broadcast opens with the traditional radio broadcast information that this is the Mercury Theater on the air and you're about to listen to a show. I don't remember if they...
Oh, so the news breaks into what appears to be a genuine...
they announce the beginning of the show. They run the title credit.
I'm saying so that the news of alien invasion breaks into the 1 minute into I Love Lucy. Essentially, it would be the same as if we started watching I Love Lucy and then 1 minute in, it's like you interrupt this program for a real disaster.
No,
but that would have been fucking cool.
No. The broadcast starts with the announcement that you are listening to the Mercury Theater doing War of the Worlds.
Oh, and then it becomes a real War of the Worlds.
And then it becomes a new. And then they say like, I forget exactly. It's getting so hot in here now.
Yeah. Well, if this is what I think you're saying, and I probably cut myself being wrong a couple times, but if this is what I think you're saying, it's actually way fucking cooler than I thought it was. Which is they're like, hey, this is the Mercury Theater. We and the Mercury Theater boys are gonna put on a presentation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, and then like start doing it, and then interrupt this broadcast to be like a real War of the Worlds is happening.
No,
fuck, that would have been so cool though. It would have been very confusing, but it would have been cool.
Do you want me to play the opening for you? I'll play the opening. One of the things that's crazy about the fact that this caused so many problems is that this is how the actual broadcast of War of the Worlds begins.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
That's pretty.
So it literally tells you we're doing War of the Worlds, and then it segues into a broadcast from a ballroom where there's a band playing, and then they do the first, we interrupt this program, the astronomers have seen flashes of light coming from Mars. But
okay, but so it really, the panic was anyone who missed the first 30 seconds.
The panic was anyone who missed the first 30 seconds, yes.
Okay, so they weren't actively trying to confuse the audience.
They weren't actively trying to, though.
Which, to me, always kind of is the lore of it. I don't know why. I feel like the entire time I've ever heard of the War of the Worlds incident, in my mind, it was always like, we're playing a trick on everyone. This is actually news to me that it was just a presentation of War of the Worlds.
Well, it's up to who it's Orson Welles was...
Old Louis told me this, so that's, if you want to blame someone.
Orson Welles was... he was a snarky, get one over on you, I'm smarter than you kind of guy. So while the official line was, no, we weren't trying to trick anybody, I think you could easily read into it, well, how many people tune into the show exactly when the show begins to exactly hear the announcement?
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that they told you meant that it's not a trick.
Yeah, it wasn't fully intended to be a trick. But as that broadcast continues, the news of strange explosions on Mars interrupt this musical performance. And from there, Wells and writer Howard E. Cook, who went on to co-write Casablanca, ratchet up the tension with live radio reports, live in quotes, from astronomers, reporters, the U.S. infantry, and the Air Force. By minute 18 of this broadcast, a man is describing crowds being burned alive by alien death rays right in front of him.
Do you know what I think really works for this? And it wouldn't work if you tried to do it today. I mean, you can make arguments. I'm saying in traditional media, not fucking the internet. is back then it was like Alcoa presents the whatever hour.
Yeah.
So there's no commercial breaks. You can run this off as one big live event.
Yeah.
And not like, is that a Martian?
Right.
Let's be now a moment for our sponsor.
Yeah. Well, now the only way you could do that would be for a sponsor to pay for the whole hour in advance, but the media that they would get from pulling a stunt like that would not be positive.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't necessarily want to do that.
But I'm just saying the structure of that also very much lent itself to the believability because there was no interruptions.
Yes. History tells us, this is the next interesting thing about War of the Worlds, that a mass panic ensued. People fled the cities, phone lines jammed, roads were clogged with terrified citizens. The next day, the country awoke to newspaper headlines like "Fake war stirs terror throughout the U.S." "War skit on radio terrifies nation," and "The end of the world, terror-stricken America." I grew up hearing from my grandparents that multiple people died in New York and New Jersey
from being trampled,
from having heart attacks, crashing their cars, driving off bridges, and committing suicide because they didn't want to fall victim to these horrific Martians that were storming towards their homes.
Wow.
But the truth might be a little bit more nuanced. Media historian W. Joseph Campbell documented in his book, Getting It Wrong, that much of what was put into the public record by newspapers the following day was heavily exaggerated, both in an attempt to sell more papers and to talk shit on the newspaper industry's popular new competitor, which was radio. W. Joseph Campbell is quoted in a BBC article as saying, quote, "For newspapers, the so-called panic broadcast brought newspapers an exceptional opportunity to censure radio, a still new medium that was becoming a serious competitor in providing news and advertising. Newspaper leader columns in the days immediately after the broadcast helped deepen the impression that Wells's program had sown hysteria. The New York Times said, radio is new, but it has adult responsibilities.
Oh, my God.
It has not mastered itself or the material it uses." So the War of the Worlds panic we've all heard about was
the dying gasp of like an industry trying to remain relevant.
From the research I did, there do not appear to have been any actual recorded instances of car crashes,
I love that.
deaths.
This is awesome. This is genuinely, to me, the very interesting piece of the history of this, because how many times have we done an episode of Scared All the Time where it's like waking up during surgery, it's like, we made gas to put you under, and like people would be like, don't go to that dentist or that surgeon because they won't know if you're helping because they don't hear your screams. Like like things that seem like this is a rad new invention, or like we built a car and then like the horse people being like, a car will drive into your home if a horse, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like the we've seen this a number of times where like one industry feels threatened by another, and it takes to the news to do it. So it's interesting to see the news
actually
being the one perpetrating it.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
And Orson Welles very famously made a movie about Hearst.
Yep.
Which is a lot to do with like using and wielding the power of controlling all the media markets.
Yep. I mean, there were documented pissed off calls like to CBS stations, and like some people were upset and some people were scared, but not nearly at the level that it kind of has gone down as in myth.
There are probably people at those newspapers on the second day who were like, I think radio's done. We did it.
We killed it.
There's no way people are like, who's going to support a thing where 100 people died last night?
They can't come back from
this.
They
can't come back from that. The FCC might be invented that same week, though.
Here is what I didn't know about the radio broadcast of War of the Worlds. 11 years later, in 1949, in Ecuador, someone tried the same trick. It was February 12th when Radio Kito broadcast its own localized adaptation of War of the Worlds, directed by Leonardo Paez. At the time, tensions were very high with Peru, who is their neighboring country. And when radio descriptions of smoke and fire and something advancing towards the city went out on the airwaves, people thought that the country was at war.
Oh, they didn't think tripods.
They weren't even thinking about aliens.
Yeah.
According to an article I found on Skepticality, quote, churches opened their doors to the terrified population who were pouring from their homes in their night clothes and running about the streets in terror. One priest is said to have conducted an open-air mass absolution of sins. Such were the overwhelming number of supplicants wishing to make peace with their God.
Before they were going to be killed this week, like this today.
But the real problems didn't start until people realized that there was panic in the streets. So the broadcast interrupted itself to announce this is all a prank. About 20 minutes into the episode, they were like, hey, we're kidding. Again, from Skepticality, quote, up until this moment, no one appears to have been seriously hurt. But now, a great many people in Kito were acutely aware they had been fooled and were looking for something or someone to vent their fury upon.
Oh my God.
El Comercio, the largest and most respected paper in the country, owned Radio Kito, and the station was housed in the same building as the newspaper. And it was to this location that the mob advanced, and in what might have seemed an ironic act by the crowd, set fire to copies of El Comercio newspaper and then hurled those and other objects at the building.
People don't deserve anything.
The main entrance was blocked, and a fire swiftly broke out. Some of the besieged staff of 100 people escaped from a rear exit, but many were trapped on upper floors that were forced in some cases to leap from the windows to avoid being burned to death. Others attempted to form human chains to the ground, but many fell. The reported figures for the eventual death toll varies between about 6 and 20. Generally, it's thought that the lower end is probably more accurate. But regardless,
I think these people should have went to war with Peru. Like, it sounds like you got people ready to fucking go.
They should have, yeah, right? They should have just been like, tonight's the night, we're taking you out. It would have been a sneak attack.
Would have been a sneak
Peru
attack.
would have been like, what the fuck is happening?
They probably would have won because it sounds like these people are like hulked out, you know, had so much rage ready to go.
It is said that they were so pissed off that they beat policemen who arrived on the scene and removed fire hydrants in order to thwart the attempts to extinguish the blaze.
They know people are in there.
Yeah.
Yo, these people are trash.
They were fucking pissed.
But that's an insane reaction to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, not every mid-century media prank backfired with the same disastrous results as War of the Worlds, especially the War of the Worlds Radio Kito version. I'd be remiss not to mention the Museum of Hoax's #1 prank of all time on their April Fool's list, the BBC's Spaghetti Tree hoax.
What?
Oh, yes. I have put a link to the Spaghetti Tree hoax in the show notes, so I encourage you, listener, to go and watch it. But on April 1st, 1957, the BBC's Panorama program, narrated by the distinguished Richard Dimbleby, very British name.
I thought you were going to say Richard Attenborough.
He was sort of like a war correspondent. Like, I think he was sort of like their Walter Cronkite, maybe. Like, he was like a real news anchor. Like, if this guy said something, you believed it.
So you think he was... Oh, like he's in on the joke?
He's in on the joke.
I'm about to say, it's not like him going to a bar after being like, why have I gotten on the spaghetti beat?
They aired a 3-minute segment narrated by him showing a Swiss family in Ticino harvesting their spaghetti for the year by happily pulling strands of pasta from trees and laying them in the sun to dry. Dimbleby explains in the clip that a mild winter and the, quote, virtual disappearance of the spaghetti weevil have contributed to a bumper harvest. 8 million people watched it, and the reaction was massive. Because at the time, and this is late, I don't really have any connection to Britain, but apparently, even in 1957, pasta was not really common in Britain.
Weird. It's like 5 seconds from Italy.
And most of the country was unfamiliar with how it was made. So even the BBC Director General at the time, Sir Ian Jacob, was bewildered by the broadcast and resorted to seeking out the origins of spaghetti in 3 different books to clear up his suspicions. Not everyone was amused, but no one rioted and no one died. The BBC was inundated with calls demanding proof or an explanation. Some people even asked how to grow their own spaghetti tree, to which the BBC's alleged response was, quote, place a sprig of spaghetti in a tin of tomato sauce and hope for the best. So
I'm still waiting.
best prank of all time, according to the Museum of Hoaxes. But it's right around this time in the middle of the century that the modern prank apparatus really kicks into high gear. Alan Funt creates Candid Camera in 1948, which is generally considered the first mass media prank show.
Okay.
The novelty industry explodes with the Joy Buzzer in 1928 and the Whoopee Cushion in the 1930s,
They got pretty late to that.
courtesy of the Gem Rubber Company of Toronto. So the Canadians are to thank for the modern Whoopee Cushion. Another Canadian, Tom Green, pioneered aggressive public prank TV in the 90s. And then on October 1st, 2000, arguably the single most important date in prank history, Jackass premieres on MTV.
I thought you were going to say on September 11th, 2001.
A big joke was played.
Oh, yeah, Jackass, I guess. It's weird because it's not... Yeah, it is pranks because they're always fucking with that guy's dad and, like, stuff like that. But I guess it's also not pranks. It's also just, like, human feats on display.
Yeah, before Jackass, pranks on TV were mostly about tricking people. It was a lot of hidden cameras, a lot of gotcha stuff. I mean, Punk'd even came after Jackass, and that was hidden cameras and whatnot. But I think Punk'd...
that was proper pranks.
That was proper pranks, but I think Punk'd was... riding the heels of Jackass, really.
Yeah, they were both MTV, maybe?
They both were MTV, yeah. But after Jackass, pranks became about what you were willing to do to yourself or to others for laughs. And as a result, the majority of the pranks gone wrong I found in the 2000s are really the same story over and over and over again to a depressing degree. Some kid decides they're going to prank someone. That person has a gun. And kills them.
I will say this, not the second part, the killing.
Yeah.
But the threatening to kill is very funny to me. I don't like pranks, as you know, so somebody who's like, I'm going to prank you, and then it goes real bad on them, I enjoy. I love watching a YouTuber who's like, I put a plastic garbage can over this person's head at Home Depot, and I'm going to walk by like I didn't do it.
Yeah.
If you get thrown through a fucking wall for that, let's go. Like, I am for that.
Yeah.
I love an immediate and swift punishment to a prankster.
Yeah. Well, I think more people probably were killed as a result of trying to do a Jackass prank on somebody in the 2000s than most other forms of death. I think it went high on the list.
It was above gun violence for 1 year.
Yeah, well, it was still gun violence.
Do you remember that like video when we were much young? It was a 1,000-year-old video now, I feel like, of kid at this high school like popping out of a garbage can with a spooky mask on, and the other kid who tried to like scare just punched him immediately in the face.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that was, and he just like crumples back down to the garbage can.
Yeah.
And that's 15-10.
That guy might have died.
He's dead.
We don't know how that punch looked.
But what's funny
terrible.
is like that was on the internet for over a decade before anyone was saying fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Because that's the epitome of fuck around and find out.
Well, YouTube launched in 2005, and the prank economy exploded again. Because now anyone with a camera and a prank could compete for views. And of course, as we know in the podcasting industry, views mean money.
Which sucks because I forgot we're a video podcast and just ate a bunch of sushi.
Yeah, on camera.
On camera for our second half of this record.
Each video, if you want to keep making money on YouTube, has to top the last, and the algorithm tends to reward extremity, and that incentive to push further and go harder and take bigger risks doesn't lead anywhere good. There are so many YouTube pranks gone wrong that we could probably do an entire episode just on YouTube pranks gone wrong.
Good.
Lots of them go a little something like this. On April 2nd, 2023, at the Dulles Town Center Food Court in Sterling, Virginia, YouTube prankster Tanner Cook, a 21-year-old with a channel called Classified Goons.
Oh, my God. That must have been that taking on
yeah.
a new term. Yeah, that term taking on new meaning.
He had roughly 55,000 subscribers at the time.
Probably more now that they're taking on a new meaning.
Well,
people just find this website.
He approached a DoorDash delivery driver named Alan Colley, who was 31, and he was filming, and he holds his phone inches from Alan Colley's face and plays the phrase, "Hey, dipshit, quit thinking about my Twinkie," multiple times through a Google Translate app. I assume Alan must have had some sort of ethnic appearance, and
okay.
he played it through, saying it in I don't know what Alan Colley looks like, but Spanish or Chinese or something.
Yeah.
After about 30 seconds of Tanner Cook playing "Hey Dipshit, Quit Thinking About My Twinkle." Twinkle. I'm sorry, Twinkle,
okay.
not Twinkie.
So this guy said, "Hey, give me a Twinkie or
Quit
else."
thinking about my twinkle.
And then he was immediately shot.
Basically, yeah.
Okay,
After about
great.
30 seconds of this, Colley drew a legally concealed handgun and shot Cook once in the lower left abdomen.
Wait, is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not joking?
No. Colley shot Cook in the stomach.
It's extreme reaction, but a reaction I kind of get.
They were in a mall, so everyone in the mall panicked and ran because
For some reason, I thought he ran up to his car that the guy was in. The whole time I've pictured it that way.
Sorry, it does sort of sound that way because it's a DoorDash driver, so he must have ordered food to the mall.
Sure.
Everyone in the mall thought a mass shooting was about to start, so everyone started screaming and running and calling the police. And
I'm not sure where your legal grounds are for public place pulling a gun out. You have to really prove that you're in danger.
well, maybe he thought he was a ghost.
Thought he was a ghost.
We
Yeah,
know
you're
that's
right. When you're right,
a
you're
good
right.
defense. Cook, the prankster, survived, but he required serious surgery. And at trial, Alan Colley argued self-defense. He didn't know it was a prank. He wasn't told he was being filmed, and he felt cornered by a stranger who wouldn't stop following him. Cook's own video footage clearly showed him as the aggressor, and the jury found Colley not guilty of aggravated malicious wounding, but guilty of a lesser firearms charge, which I don't know what it was because he was legally had the gun.
I legally have guns.
Maybe it
I'm
was
pretty sure I
discharging
can't
it.
discharge them in a fucking Panda Express.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Without really having a reason.
Tanner Cook, for his part, the classified goon himself,
Card-carrying goon.
expressed no remorse and continued making prank content. He literally got shot in the stomach, and his takeaway was, hey, it's good content.
His takeaway was, I'll never be bigger than I am now.
He
I probably got more famous from the trial.
He did, although I will say, in a credit to society, not significantly more. He had 55,000 subscribers when this began, and he has, I checked when I looked up this article the other day, he has 66,000 subscribers now.
And when did this event take place?
2023.
Yeah, he could be doing better, but also his maybe he's in pain all the time. I don't know.
His pranks are just asking people for a bathroom because his fucking
Bowels
don't work anymore.
I mean, so practical joke, is that the same thing as a prank? Because there's no N in practical joke.
What do you mean?
Prank is not the shortening of practical joke if practical joke is
you mean where does the word prank come from? That's a good question. I didn't actually look up the history of the word prank.
Okay.
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a follow-up.
Sure. Anyway, this guy went to the hospital with
better-
GSW.
I have a better question, though.
Yeah.
Ed, would you take a bullet for this show?
No.
Okay.
No.
Fuck.
I'm not even sure I will discharge a bullet at a public place to get a prankster out of my face. But I will absolutely brandish a weapon in front of a prankster.
What about in front of a ghost?
I'd have to ask it, what are your weaknesses? If I say, is your weakness guns and bullets? And it says, yes. I go, fucking, this is your worst day, man. This is a bad day for you. You just walked into a gun and bullets situation. But if they say no, I guess I'll just have to walk away.
Then you know it's a real ghost.
Well, a real ghost would say boo.
It's true.
I don't know what either of these things are that are speaking to me at this point.
Well, in any case, it is this toxic, money-driven prank culture that produced two gentlemen known as the Paul brothers.
Yeah. They're doing very well.
Jake and Logan Paul, two assholes from the internet who are now assholes for money as villains in boxing and wrestling.
Yeah, you love wrestling.
I hate to say it. If anybody watches WWE, Logan Paul actually, I think, despicable person, but born to be a wrestling heel. Like, incredibly athletic, does insane shit every time he has a match, and genuinely hated by the fans and loves being hated by the fans, but is good enough that he's not someone that you're like you hate him because he's an asshole. But when he gets in the ring, he delivers. He's not just like a guy that you hate because he's bad at what he does.
Sure.
He's a prick and an asshole, and he always has been, but he's really fucking good at wrestling.
Didn't him and his fucking brother one time? I don't believe for a second his brother like that Mike Tyson fight was such a waste of everyone's time. It was
we watched that.
Yeah, so clearly Mike Tyson was paid to, even at that advanced age, to not beat his ass.
Yeah.
It was objectively he was paid to not touch that kid.
Well, and that's part of why these guys have continued to be hated assholes, because Jake Paul was obviously, paying. Jake Paul's company produced the fight.
No, because even the thing is they get the $20 million or whatever, no matter what the outcome is, and so
he clearly paid to win, and Logan is part of the reason he's hated by wrestling fans is because most wrestlers put in years of grind and struggle, and it takes a long time to get good and go to the top. He got just put on TV because he was famous and would get people to tune in, and then turned out to be really good at it on top of that.
Yeah.
So people hate it.
Didn't him and his brother, that was what I started to say before I got remembered the Mike Tyson thing. Didn't they give an interview one time that was like, not that we live in the Matrix, but they were like, not we rigged the, basically they said we live in the Matrix, but that's not the takeaway here. It's not that I think that they're right that we live in a simulation. It's that they essentially were like, and this is years ago, we're like, we know we live in the Matrix, and so we bend the rules in knowing that. So success will be easy because success is easy for Neo in the sense that he could move faster, run. And I'm not, again, this has nothing, it's hard to say that there's nothing to do with the Matrix. Remove the Matrix from your mind. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing to say. And then over the next 10 years, amassed 5 to 10x their fortunes, entered 2 separate industries they were not part of previous, became absolute superstars in those industries. And then at the end of that decade, I thought, now I'm thinking, do we live in the Matrix? Because like at the time, I was like, it's a ridiculous thing to say, and I didn't give any credence to it. But I'm thinking, fuck, man, maybe we do, and these two do know that.
I mean, I think more likely the whole,
money begets money.
Money begets money, but the living in the Matrix, the red pill, blue pill, that's all very kind of manosphere stuff that I think they were kind of early.
Because this was definitely before we were saying red pill, blue pill.
Yeah, I think,
in the culture.
But they were early to that because they were online. And I do think, though, if nothing else, they are examples of probably white privilege, but also just what can happen when you just don't even believe that you can fail.
Yeah, that must be a pretty interesting way to live.
When you just don't have that thing that makes you go, this might be embarrassing, or maybe I won't do well. Like, I think they don't have that. I think they're just like, well, yeah, if I try it, I'll be good at it, and then I'll get even better at it. And I think that's probably, I mean, there's some genetic luck there too, that they both have the ability to become as athletic as they've become, because
what they're doing isn't easy.
No, I mean, fighting Mike Tyson, even if he's been paid to pull his punches, is not something most people can do.
But I also don't see anyone doing backflips off a 12-foot ladder in a ring unless they already started with like, I could totally do that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I could jump backwards off of this and flip onto somebody.
Like, they don't think they can die on some level, I'm sure.
Well, that's why not hopefully, I don't want to get sued, but if we revisit this next April Fool's, we found out that they pranked the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see.
But anyway, I bring Jake and Logan Paul up not to talk about wrestling or boxing or the Matrix, but to illustrate the really dark place that the YouTube prank world ultimately ended up.
Okay.
Or as the subhead of Vox's explainer about this incident says, quote, Paul's decision to post footage of a suicide victim stems from many popular pranksters' film first and think later ethos.
No, that was what made him really popular, right? Was that, or it was like, it's the thing that made him known to the rest of the world who aren't like kids who watch.
Yes. So technically,
him.
This wasn't a prank, but I bring it up because I think one of the darkest things, in a way, the darkest prank gone wrong is the fact that the prank culture that made him famous, I think, is part of what fueled his journey to this very, very low point. So according to Vox, prank videos, typically starring white men or young boys, comprise an entire genre on YouTube.
I mean, that's not surprising. Kind of what you said. It's like, there's very few people who can get away not once or twice, but 20 times with half the content of these videos if you weren't a young white guy. I don't know how easy it is to make a career in this without ended up with a tombstone or arrested. Or...
Yeah. They comprise an entire genre on YouTube, one so popular that even creators who have become famous for other things often participate in guest pranks and viral prank challenges. Pranking first became popular on Vine, which you know some people who got popular on Vine, although I don't think they were doing pranks.
They certainly weren't.
No,
but
like,
6 seconds is around the time I would expect you'd live if you tried to prank me.
Yeah.
So that's why it's perfect for them.
Because of its 6-second time limit, Vine was the perfect platform for short public stunts, usually involving unwitting members of the public who had no idea they were being pranked while the camera was rolling. The most successful pranks often mimicked many of the largely non-consensual techniques of pickup artist culture, another great subculture.
God, remember that?
Yeah.
Another MTV show or VH1 or something.
Did they have a pickup guy show?
It was that guy who wrote the game or whatever.
Oh, Neil Strauss?
He had a whole television show called The Pickup Artist or whatever.
Oh. Well,
and they're pieces of shit.
These pranks, if they were mean-spirited, cruel, or even physically threatening, tended to do even better than the ones that were safe and nice.
Yeah, it's just terrible world we live in.
This is the environment the Paul brothers thrived in. By 2015, when Logan Paul was just 20 years old, he had over 8 million followers on Vine, and as Business Insider put it, was already famous by the standards of millions of 14-year-old girls. By 2018, he was the 51st most popular creator on YouTube, and the monetization of his videos brought him up to $50,000 per video. And this is a guy who posts multiple times a day, every single day. One of those videos came out on December 31st, 2018, documenting a trip that Logan took to Japan's Okigara Forest, located on the northwestern side of Mount Fuji. This place has the nickname Suicide Forest because of the number of people who head out there to do as advertised.
It's their Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, it's become a bit mythologized, and I think there's been 1 or 2 horror movies made about this place. The reality is that people have died there, and even if the plan was, I got to go check this place out, it's a weird, bizarre place, we're going to be quiet and respectful, it's not really a playground for influencers. And I don't think being quiet and respectful was the plan when Logan Paul and his team hiked through the woods and happened across a body in the forest. The video has long since been taken down, although I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I don't think it's on YouTube anymore. According to Vox, upon seeing the body, Logan Paul calls out, "Yo, are you alive?" And then, "Are you fucking with us?" He then continues to film his reaction to the discovery, complete with laughter and joking, which he later explains is his way of trying to cope with the shock of the situation.
Sure. And not to defend him in this moment, having never seen the video and not liking him as a person, he at this point was already pretty famous for pranks.
Yeah.
Probably hangs out with a bunch of idiots who are part of his posse and his crew. And there is very realistically a thing where he's like, did one of you do this? Am I being pranked right now?
Right.
But when you find out it isn't, then you say, hey guys, Logan reaction video.
Right.
I'm not going to show you, but we saw some crazy shit in the woods today. We'd love to release a video, but it would be not great to do. He took the other road, I'm assuming.
I was going to say, you want to know what he did instead?
Yeah.
He added a preface to the video before posting it in which he gravely insisted that this is not clickbait. And he also advised viewers to, quote, buckle the fuck up because you're never going to see a video like this again. And he used a shot of the dead body for the video's promotional thumbnail. And also the video was called "We Found a Dead Body" in all caps. So
yeah, well, he's...
The wanting
he's
to
a showman.
Wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I wasn't giving him the benefit of the doubt for his thing. I'm saying I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for him being like, hey, bro, are you whatever? Like that initial, are you kidding me way of dealing with that?
Yeah.
I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Just for those like 2 lines in the court transcript.
Yeah. After the video came under fire, he pivoted a few times trying to claim that he was actually trying to raise awareness for suicide prevention, but that was obviously a lie.
If you kill yourself, you might end up being made fun of, so don't do it. Suicide prevention.
There was a huge blowback, and for a moment it seemed like the boundaries of good taste might be enforced. But of course...
they made too much money.
They were not. YouTube came under fire because they let the video trend for more than a full day and never moved to take it down. Logan took it down himself after YouTube placed a strike on his content. But when you get a strike, or at least I don't know what the rules are now, but in 2015 or 2018, when you got a strike on your content, it meant you could get 2 more and you might get demonetized after a review. So a strike is not much, not very meaningful. Logan and YouTube both put out statements and apologies, and ultimately the whole thing blew over. And in kind of an ironic cherry on the top of this horrific Sunday, Logan's apology became the #1 video on YouTube the day that he put it out.
Yeah, it tracks.
So he made money off the apology too.
I will say that I've been seeing that a lot. The apology videos or the like update on "so I got arrested" video. Those do so well. Like, yeah, it's just, I don't, if you think about them like double dipping monetization on that, especially since being monetized at that level is not actually easy. Not 10 years later, they make it so hard because of guys like this. They're giving millions of dollars to.
Yeah,
it's just funny that then, yeah, once that engine is moving forward, yeah, you can just monetize anything. So it's like, hey guys, came on because it's 2:00 and I need money.
Yeah.
So
pretty much,
the video's gonna be 20 minutes. If I'm gonna show you things I'd like to buy, and by the end of you watching this video of things I'd like to buy, I think I'll be able to afford them. So see you later.
Yeah, it's a weird world. And now I think with a lot of the streaming stuff that's becoming popular on Twitch and Kick and everything, like I've seen, we sometimes talk about other ways to help maybe, monetize the podcast or whatever. So I've checked some of this stuff out, and like I cannot for the life of me, and maybe it's because I'm too old, I don't know. But
I think it's probably that.
I cannot tell what makes one Kick streamer or one Twitch streamer more popular than some. Like they just talk for 5 hours, 8 hours, and it's like they're not really it doesn't seem like they're getting at much or have a point. They're just talking and showing videos and selling
look, Mr.
things.
Beast figured it out from exactly this, in the sense that, like, right, he dedicated his life prior to blowing up to what exactly makes you blow up.
Yeah.
So there is something to it. Like, there is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mr. Beast, if he applied that same logic to what it would take to be elected president, he probably could do it.
Mr. Beast will be president. I don't understand where he's being president. Until maybe recently, being president isn't enough money.
Yeah.
So when he's ready to be president, he'll decide to be president. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought we'd end this episode on a little bit of a lighter note.
We have a guest for you guys, Mr. Beast. Come on
what's
in.
up? He brought Mr. Beast bars for all of us. I wanted to end on a little bit of a lighter note with maybe the biggest prank that we ever lived through.
Is it David Copperfield making the Statue of Liberty disappear?
No.
'Cause that's magic.
It's not only a lighter prank that we all lived through, but it, I think, tops all of these pranks, because for as awful as many of these pranks were, none of them ever rose to the level of suspected terrorism the way that a Cartoon Network prank
we were literally in the city for that.
did in Boston in 2007.
Adult Swim.
You and I were actually in college in Boston when this happened.
And huge Aqua Teen fans. Well, I was.
I mean, you probably were a bigger fan than I was, but I was very, I'd seen the show and I liked the show. It was, I cannot stress enough, for 2 or 3 days, this was the biggest deal in the world in Boston.
Yeah.
It maybe was not intended as a prank in the classic sense of the word. It was more of guerrilla marketing gone wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it's close enough to qualify. On the morning of January 31st, 2007, Bostonians across the city started calling the cops en masse after spotting strange electronic devices that looked cobbled together out of circuit boards, exposed wiring, and electrical tape. Massachusetts Attorney General Martha Coakley said that the device, quote, had a very sinister appearance.
They're Moonanites.
It had a battery behind it and wires.
Yeah.
Each one displayed a 1 foot by 1 foot light bright style display featuring a Moonanite, a weird alien creature that kind of looks like an alien from Alien
Invaders.
Alien Invaders.
Space Invaders. They look a little kind of
blocky creature.
Blocky little two-dimensional creature.
Each of these little displays featured one of these creatures giving the finger. According to Wikipedia, quote, the first device was discovered on a stanchion that supports an elevated section of I-93 above Sullivan Station. And the person who called told a policeman from the MBTA of its presence. At 9 a.m., the Boston Police Department bomb squad received a phone call from the MBTA requesting assistance in identifying the device. Authorities responded with what the Boston Globe described as, quote, an army of emergency vehicles at the scene, including police cruisers, fire trucks, ambulances, and the Boston Police Department bomb squad. Now, for those of you listening to this show who very well may not have been alive when this happened, this was 6 years after 9/11.
But before the Boston Marathon bomber.
Before the Boston Marathon bombing. And this was a device that someone thought was a bomb that was found on a support beam beneath a very busy highway. So if it had been a bomb, the response would have been appropriate.
Yes.
Because if this had blown up, it would have killed a lot of people. Ultimately, it was not a bomb.
It was a cartoon character giving you the bird.
Yeah. The LA Times reported they, quote, emergency personnel and anti-terrorism squads shut down more than a dozen highways, transit stations, and other locations across the city Wednesday after receiving reports about multiple suspicious devices. But, of course, as Ed and I have already said, these weren't bombs. A young staffer in Mayor Menino's office, who was the mayor at the time, quickly recognized the aliens as characters from the Cartoon Network show Aqua Teen Hunger Force. They were Moonanites. And the network confirmed these signs were part of a viral marketing campaign for the upcoming Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. Turner Networks paid out a $2 million settlement to the city to cover the cost of the emergency response and apparently further training for police officers.
You had to watch Adult Swim shows?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine, was it like flashcards of Johnny Bravo that the Boston cops had to study just to be like, okay, we know what these characters are now.
What's funny is like I don't know if it was memeified for young kids now, and the internet wasn't the same then.
Yeah.
But like the Moonanite throwing the bird in the show has that, it's just the line that goes with it. It's got a middle finger up, a digital little middle finger. It says, I hope you can see this because I'm doing it as hard as I can. Was the famous line with that. And that is what their marketing was that frame essentially.
Right.
Hope you can see this because I'm doing it as hard as I can. And then also that specific thing causing a panic at the tune of millions of dollars is so funny to me.
Yeah, and I thought I put the number in here. I guess I didn't. I think like more than a dozen of these that had been put around.
Yeah, there was one in the Commons, I remember.
Yeah,
there was one like on an Emerson building, I feel like.
Yeah, they were put places that were like sort of hidden, but also places that they wanted you to see them. So many of them were found very quickly. The only reason anyone thought they were bombs is because they looked very homemade.
They look like dog shit.
They look like dog shit. If they'd been like fancy and smooth and polished or 3D printed or something, I mean, there still might have been some people calling the police, but I don't think it would have been quite the same level. I also think placing them on support beams beneath a highway is probably a really bad idea. But, you know, I didn't go too deep on it, but the guys who actually like came up with the idea and actually put them up were part of like a, you know, creative agency or whatever. And at one point, I think they were in danger of getting sued. Like, there was a lot of blowback to this and a lot of people going, look, we didn't fucking know.
I wouldn't put it past an ad agency to literally make the first call that it's a bomb, though.
That's true.
We're going to get free fucking press.
Yeah. That movie didn't ultimately do very well, did it?
No.
I think maybe because of the bad press was partially.
I don't even remember the movie. I remember the Moonanite episodes that it
had some crazy. It was like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the movie.
Yeah, it had a crazy title, but yeah, it ultimately didn't do. I don't remember the movie. I'm sure my buddy Dan is screaming at the podcast right now, but I mean, there's whole episodes of that show that I can quote right now, but the movie is not one of them.
I mean, same with Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie.
Never saw it, but I wasn't a Tim and Eric guy, so
a lot of that show really, really good. The movie is just like, shouldn't have even bothered. Like, it just doesn't translate.
Sure.
You know? But anyway, I wanted to end on that note because we were there and it was a big deal at the time. And I think it's one of the better examples of a prank gone really terribly wrong on a governmental scale. So with that brings us to the fear tier for this episode. So Ed, where would you place pranks gone wrong on your fear tier?
I'm never going to prank. So the idea of me doing a prank and it blows up in my face is 0 because I'm not pranking. But the idea of someone doing a prank on me
and you pulling a gun and killing them,
it's a 10. Yeah, I would be like it's an 8 because my eyes would roll over like a doll's eye, black like a doll's eyes. I would come to with like blood on my hands a mile from where I first blacked out. I just hate being pranked and I hate being scared.
I think I actually put a prank gone right maybe higher on my fear tier because I don't want to be pranked. I don't want to be made a fool of.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much. These are pretty high. This is like a pretty... Because the episode's not about pranks in general, so it's hard to...
Yeah. I mean, the difference is like in the right context, like I like Halloween Horror Nights. It's draining after a point, and I don't love the jumping all the time. But I enjoy it because there's a context for it, and like I expect to be.
No, if you were just walking on the street and one of those things happened, a guy runs you with a fake chainsaw,
yeah.
Forget it. Like there's nothing fun about that.
No, not at all.
Also, I don't even like pranks that aren't. But then again, as you know, as I so regularly talk about like my fear of not being in on the whole town being in on it.
Yeah.
And I think there is a prank element of like, even if it's like Steve's gonna leave the room, and when Steve comes back, we're all gonna make believe that the water's running in the bathroom, and he's not gonna hear it, and then we're just gonna like gaslight someone into going crazy. Because we're all going to be like, you can't hear it. It's like a drip. It's like a drip, drip, drip. And it's like, no, I don't hear anything. It's like, well, to me, that's just as like horrible of a prank as running at you with a fucking machete. And so pranks, yeah, like I guess what I'm getting at is that it's just, there's way too much Venn diagram with like bigger fears of mine that pranking is like right on the edges of.
Yeah. Pranks, not cool. I didn't even give a number. I guess I would say pranks gone wrong for me. I would put at, here's the thing. Prank gone wrong for me is more someone pranks me and I get so upset or scared that I like walk into traffic and get hit by a car.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, listen, I never thought about this, but I've accidentally prank gone wrong to someone when I was like in middle school.
Oh.
Like I was fooling around, I won't use their name, and like he was getting a drink at the water fountain. And I like kind of pushed him a little bit to like make it so he gets his face wet, but he went too far and he broke his front tooth on the like fountain thing. Sucks. And I didn't even push hard or anything.
Yeah,
we were just kind of goofing off.
That is a prank gone wrong, and you're thinking about it all these years later. So,
and I had never thought about it till right now, and it's still a really horrible thing. The prank gone wrong thing is fuck, man. Like just you're at the top of the stairs, someone makes you try and flinch, so like, and then you fall on the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too easy to go wrong. I'm keeping it at an 8.
All right, I'm gonna put pranks.
And since 30 years later, I'm still sad about this. It's definitely an 8 for my thing.
I'm the prank that I hurt my friend's feelings with still haunts me. So yeah, I'll go one lower than you. I'm gonna go to 7 for pranks gone wrong. But yeah, I think it's pretty up there, and hopefully no one pranks me on today, which is definitely April Fool's Day. So
keep the pranks light.
Keep the pranks light. But one thing that's not a joke is you should go over to patreon.com/scaredallthetime.
See our feet.
See everything we have on offer over at the Patreon. Sign up, join at one of the levels. We try to give you the most bang for your buck that we can. Come to some of the live shows. They're always a blast. Like, subscribe, do what you do. Leave comments.
Like, subscribe, do it.
Find us on YouTube. Find us on Spotify.
Why aren't you doing it right now?
We are a media juggernaut, and you all are a part of it. But until next time, I'm Chris Kalari.
And I'm Ed Ficola.
And the show is Scared All the Time. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Scared All the Time is co-produced by Chris Kalari and Ed Ficola.
Written by Chris Kalari.
Edited by Ed Ficola.
Additional support and keeper of sanity is Tess Feifel.
Our theme song is the track Scared by Perpetual Stew.
And Mr. Disclaimer is...
And just a reminder, you can now support the podcast on Patreon and get all kinds of cool shit in return. Depending on the tier you choose, we'll be offering everything from ad-free episodes, producer credits, exclusive access, and exclusive merch.
So go sign up for our Patreon at scaredallthetimepodcast.com.
Don't worry, all scaredy cats welcome.
No part of this show can be reproduced anywhere without permission. Copyright Astonishing Legends Productions.
Good night.
We are in this together.
Together.